Students, we have come to the conclusion of Unit 2, which means this week we must review for the test, and then at the end of the week you will take the test. Before you take the test, you need to review. There's two parts of your review this week. The first has to do with sources, and you will actually use these sources for the writing portion of your test. So you're going to refer to these sources, which are online, that deal with American imperialism, to fill out this matrix also, which will be online. You're going to use these sources to complete your writing assignment, which is part of your test. And for this writing assignment, I would like you to actually refer to these sources and use them as your evidence. The second part of your review is just a typical test review, which you can use to take the test. Once you are completed with both portions of your review, the sources and the traditional review, you are ready to take the test. There is two parts of the test. The first is a writing portion. Make sure that you read the directions very carefully. And the second part is just a traditional multiple choice test. If you look at the schedule, this is what I have for you this week. On November 9th and November 10th, or the first half of the week, I want you to work on that review. In the second half of the week, Thursday, Friday, maybe into Saturday and Sunday, I would like you to complete your writing test as well as your traditional 25-question multiple choice test. So that wraps a bow on this unit. And just a quick review of this unit. The first thing that we talked about was American imperialism. Like I mentioned, the United States was not the first country to try our hand at imperialism. We actually were very late in the game. We took kind of the role, or we took the example of imperialism from Europeans. And the idea of an imperialism is when a bigger, stronger country takes over and dominates a weaker country. The United States got involved in imperialism because we wanted sugar, as well as other resources, and to prove to those Europeans that we're a big, strong country too. After imperialism, as we entered the 20th century, we had a huge world war break out in the world. Most specifically, it broke out in Europe. And at the beginning of that war, the United States said in writing, our president at the time said in writing, that we are going to stay neutral, because up to that point in American history, we had practiced isolationism. Now, it wasn't complete isolationism. In fact, Teddy Roosevelt had said that anything that goes on in Latin America is our business. He said that we're the policeman of the Western Hemisphere. But the American ideal in 1914, when war breaks out, is if it happens in Europe, none of our business. Let those crazy Europeans do what they will do. But through these events that you'll see on this timeline here, the United States is eventually pushed into this major world war. In 1915, the spring of 1915, a German U-boat or submarine sunk the Lusitania, causing the death of Americans. The Germans revised their policy, and America stayed out of the war for another 2 years. But after they resumed their policy of unrestricted submarine warfare, compromising our trade, which would have cost America millions of dollars because we were trading heavily with the Allied powers. And then finally, the Zimmerman telegram, which was a direct threat to America. Just as a reminder of what the Zimmerman telegram is and was, the Germans sent a telegram to the Mexicans telling them to be their ally. Hey, buddy, why don't you be our friend? And we'll beat up those silly Americans and we'll give back to you all of the land that they stole from you with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. We're talking about the southwest of the United States. And because of these events, the United States was pushed into World War I. We declared war in the spring of 1917, but really the United States is only heavily involved in combat in World War I from spring, summer 1918, and then heavily involved in the Argonne Meuse offensive in the fall of 1918, which was the final battle of World War I. This Wednesday, we have a holiday. It's Veterans Day, November 11th. And why we celebrate Veterans Day is because that is the end of World War I. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month is when everybody in Europe put their guns down. We initially called it Armistice Day, but now it's known as Veterans Day. So when you see that date on your calendar and that holiday in America, that is what we are celebrating, is the end of the Great War, which in Woodrow Wilson's belief at the time with his 14 points is this will be the end of the war to end all wars, or the last major war in human history. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and we would fight a bigger, badder war within a decade. All right, quick review of the unit there. And just as a reminder, knock out that review, knock out that test, and you guys have a great week.